What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today we're going to be taking a look at how the Giants can start their season off 2-0. Of course, the Giants have a winning record for the first time since Dave Gettleman took over as the general manager. First time since 2016, they have a winning record. They went 1-0 for the first time since 2016. A truly amazing, special moment for Giants fans everywhere. It was a huge game in Week 1 versus the Tennessee Titans. Giants were totally the underdogs in that game. Went out there, Brian Daboll called a phenomenal game plan, and the Giants went out there with Saquon Barkley and got a huge W to start off their season. But now, looking ahead to Week 2, tomorrow afternoon, the game versus the Carolina Panthers. This is the home opener. Wink Martindale said, all the Giants fans going, you better be loud. You better be really, really loud. Let's get that place pumped. Let's force the Carolina Panthers to use a silent call, not even able to call anything at the line of scrimmage. Let's get them all, confused and crazy while the Giants fans are out there real loud over at MetLife. And that's going to be one of the keys to winning the game, according to Wink Martindale. But I'm going to go ahead right now and dive into 5 keys for the Giants to beat the Panthers in Week 2. Now, we know the Panthers are coming off of a crushing loss against the Cleveland Browns last week. The Browns winning with a late-game field goal, narrowly escaping by against the Panthers. Now, the Panthers 0-1 after having a pretty rough 2021 season. They're going to be traveling to New York to play the Giants, and it's going to be a big game for both of these teams. Again, Giants looking to go 2-0. But let's go through and take a look at all the different keys for the Giants to start their season off on the right foot. First of all, number 1, limit Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game. Now, this is a big one because if you take a look at the Giants last week, it was a tough performance from the inside linebackers. Now, I'm talking about Tay Crowder. I'm talking about Austin Calitro. I know Tay Crowder had that awesome hit on Derrick Henry, put Derrick Henry on his ass. He hit Derrick Henry like how Derrick Henry hits players, right? That was awesome. Alex got posted on SportsCenter for it. He posted the clip and got put on SportsCenter. It was really, really cool. Great play by Tay Crowder there. However, his performance as a coverage linebacker was so shoddy in Week 1. It was really, really poor, and so was Austin Calitro. The Giants linebackers really struggled in coverage. If you're taking a look at it and you're looking at the box score from last week's game, in the receiving game, the 2 receiving touchdowns that were caught were both by a running back. Now, it was Dontrell Hilliard. He had 3 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. He went ahead and put 41 yards after the catch, which means that there was nobody even near him when he was catching the football. He was basically just running free, wide open. And again, it was the linebackers who were in coverage on Dontrell Hilliard, and they just couldn't get the job done. They really struggled to defend him. And I'm worried now because you're taking a look at Week 2, the Carolina Panthers running back, Christian McCaffrey, is the best receiving running back in the game. The dude is basically another wide receiver, but he's just super built and can also run through people at the same time. So this is a major point of emphasis for the New York Giants defense in Week 2. They have to try to limit Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game. This is the biggest weakness for the Giants defense after 1 week of the regular season, and this is the biggest strength in the Carolina Panthers offense after 1 week in the regular season. So that could potentially be a kind of a game breaker here. It could be something that the Carolina Panthers, if they can really get Christian McCaffrey going in the receiving game, the Giants might be out of luck. They might be screwed there. So they're going to have to figure out ways to limit him in the receiving game. Now, how will they do that? If I had to guess, you're going to see Xavier McKinney, you're going to see Julian Love play in the box a lot more in Week 2. Tony Jefferson, I'm assuming, is going to be out there a lot more than he was in Week 1. And they'll be utilizing him as well. You need some safeties that can play linebacker / safety hybrid roles to really mask Christian McCaffrey's receiving ability, because you need a defensive back covering him. You can't just throw a linebacker on him and expect for the best. You need to put a safety on him. So that's going to be the key, in my opinion, to slowing down Christian McCaffrey, is having the safeties play in the box and cover Christian McCaffrey. Now, the next key that I want to get into is actually at cornerback. The Giants just need to hold up at CB2. It was just announced on Twitter just a few minutes ago that rookie cornerback Cordell Flott is expected to start in place of Aaron Robinson. Aaron Robinson, of course, is dealing with appendicitis, just had his appendix removed. He's going to be missing this week's game. Hopefully no other games, but he could miss a couple. But Cordell Flott, 3rd-round pick for the New York Giants in this year's draft. Young rookie corner, super, super speedy, very tall, very lanky. Didn't look too good in the preseason. Didn't look like he was ready for regular season action. Didn't see any regular season action in Week 1. He is going to be starting in place of Robinson in Week 2. Very interesting decision by the Giants here. I thought maybe veteran cornerback Fabian Moreau, who is on the practice squad, would be elevated. I thought he would probably be the starter in place of Aaron Robinson. However, the Giants are going with the young guys, which I think is really exciting. That's what they need to do. At the end of the day, this is probably a rebuild year. I think that the hope is really high right now for the Giants because of that big win in week 1. And we're feeling like, hey, maybe they actually could be a playoff team at some point this season. However, let's keep in mind, temper our expectations. Going into this regular season, we weren't expecting a whole lot. We were expecting, though, to see a lot of young guys play in crucial moments to build for the future. And I think that's going to be the key here. So I'm excited to see. I think, I would expect the Giants to elevate Fabian Moreau anyway, just in case Cordell Flacco's out there and doesn't play so well. At least they have a veteran cornerback in Fabian Moreau who can step in and provide some quality snaps. So expect them to, of course, elevate him from the practice squad. However, Cordell Flatt will be the starting CB2 for the Giants tomorrow, and I think that's really, really interesting and super exciting. Now, let's go over to the third key, which is going to be to put pressure on Baker Mayfield. Now, if you're looking at the stats from last week's game, Wink Martindale was doing a whole lot of blitzing. Now, the Giants blitz at a really high rate, and it helped them out a whole lot. But the problem is the Giants are still going to be without, most likely, Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. Now, that hasn't been 100% confirmed, but pretty much everybody understands at this point that Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau will not be making their debut in week 2. So it's probably going to be week 3, maybe 4 at the latest that we get those guys on the field. I'm super excited to see KT suit up for Big Blue. However, not this week, probably not. But let's take a look at some of these other players for the Giants who will be getting involved in the pass rush. Now, one of them that I want to point out is Oshane Ximines. Oshane Ximines had a really solid performance in week 1. He was actually the highest graded player for the Giants, according to Pro Football Focus. Take that, of course, with a grain of salt, but take it for what it's worth. He did have a good performance. If you're looking at the stats, he had 2 pressures on 18 pass rushing snaps, which is pretty solid. He had 2 tackles, he had 1 rushing stop, and he also played in coverage. He was targeting coverage 1 time, and he led 1 reception for only 6 yards. So it was a solid performance. He got an 86 overall grade with an 80 pass rushing grade, according to PFF. Again, take that for what you will. But Oshane Ximines was an impact player in week 1, which is interesting because a lot of us felt like Oshane Ximines could potentially not make the final 53-man roster during the preseason. He did, and he played really well in relief of Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau. So hoping to see him build on that, have another good performance in week 2. Ike Ekwonu, really great offensive tackle that the Carolina Panthers just drafted in the first round of this year's draft. However, he struggled immensely in week 1. He struggled even more than our right tackle, Evan Neal, did. Evan Neal, again, I think he's going to be great, but it was a struggle in week 1 for the rookie offensive tackles, as it usually is. They're rookies. They're going to grow, but this is definitely a point of emphasis for the Giants because they could say, hey, Ike Ekwonu is playing really poorly. Let's attack him. Let's get some pressure on Baker Mayfield. Once Baker Mayfield gets pressured, that's when he starts to play really bad football. We all know that. We've seen him play over with the Cleveland Browns for a few years. And when he was under pressure, he was a completely different quarterback from the quarterback that he is when he's not under pressure. So it's going to be crucial for the Giants going up against a quarterback who doesn't play well under pressure. They need to figure out ways to get after the quarterback. Of course, with some injuries on the lineup, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they attack it. But Wink Martindale, he blitzed 21 plays with 4 rushers. That was 64%. But he did blitz 7 of his 11 blitzes came on the final drive. That's really, really interesting, actually. That's an interesting stat there. But yeah, he blitzed 11 times in that game. It was a really high rate for blitzing. And he sent 6 rushers on 2 plays, 5 rushers on 9 plays. Very interesting stuff there from Wink Martindale. Expect him to blitz probably even more this week just to get after Baker Mayfield and, get after the quarterback, hopefully force some turnovers. But that's the next point of emphasis here. The Giants need to win the turnover battle. Now, the way that they need to do that, they need to make sure that when they get in the red zone, they do not throw interceptions like the one that Daniel Jones threw while he was targeting Saquon Barkley in the end zone. But of course, just winning the turnover battle is so crucial because when you're going up against, again, Baker Mayfield, who is known to throw some interceptions at times, right? You can definitely get away with a solid performance where you get some interceptions out of Baker Mayfield. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to fumble. That's not super likely. But if you can get some pressure on Baker Mayfield, force them to throw a pick. The Giants can turn that into points, and that can be the difference maker in the end of the game. I think that's going to be the key, though, is making sure that the Giants just handle their own issues. Don't fumble, Daniel. Don't throw interceptions, Daniel, right? It comes down to Daniel Jones at the end of the day, his ability to hold on to the football, keep it out of harm's way, not throw it into traffic. That back shoulder fade pass in the end zone to Saquon Barkley, it was very poorly timed, it was poorly placed, and it really could have killed the Giants. They made the great comeback. They won the game thanks to Saquon Barkley primarily. However, that play really could have killed the Giants and buried them in a hole that they couldn't climb out of. And I don't want to see that happen again. Of course, it was week 1, but this is only week 2 as well. So it's still early in the season. Daniel Jones probably still settling into the offense, but he needs to be clean with the football. Daniel Jones has those turnover problems. He always has. But when he has those, it really does kill the Giants. So in week 2, if Daniel Jones can keep the football clean, Baker Mayfield throws a pick, Giants can win the turnover battle, I feel really confident that they can win the game. Now let's move into our 5th and final key to victory against the Carolina Panthers in week 2, and that's going to be time of possession, moving the chains on the ground. Winning the time of possession battle is huge for the Giants because if you take a look at Saquon Barkley and the performance that he just had in week 1, that's how you're going to win time of possession, and you're going to win the game if you're getting Saquon Barkley going and getting him another huge performance like he had in week 1. Obviously, he was the league's leading rusher in week 1. He had a stellar performance. He willed the Giants to victory, got a touchdown, the 2-point conversion, 180 total yards, rushing and receiving. It might have been Saquon Barkley's best performance of his career. It was amazing. I think he was NFC Offensive Player of the Week as well. So just a stellar performance from Saquon Barkley. They need to build on that in week 2, though. Saquon Barkley with another huge performance in week 2 is going to be, a key to victory for the Giants because, first of all, rushing the football means you're taking up more time on the clock, winning the time of possession battle. And if Saquon Barkley is able to continue to move the chains at will like he was, he averaged like 11 yards per carry in that game. That's moving the chains on the ground for sure. So if the Giants are able to move the chains on the ground, keep the ball rolling, keep the time of possession battle in their favor, Saquon Barkley will have a huge performance, and the Giants will be able to go ahead and secure the victory versus the Carolina Panthers. I can't wait to watch Saquon Barkley suit up again in week 2 and hopefully have another dominant performance. And I'm so excited to discuss the game, pregame and postgame with you all right here on Fireside Giants. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your thoughts on my 5 keys, and let me know your keys to victory against the Carolina Panthers in week 2. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.